the very first episode of the Irish Craft Beer Show, name still a working title. So I'm your host Brian Condron, hopefully not a working host, but anyway, and with me as always, of course, since this is the first episode, is John Craddock.
Hello.
Hello John. So what is the Irish Craft Beer Show? Well, we don't know yet, it's still the first episode and we're trying to figure it out, but the intention is we're just going to try and just record everything that's going on in the Irish craft beer scene, because we have good crack. We go brewing, we go to breweries, we drink beer, we go to festivals. I mean, it's quite a vibrant scene, wouldn't you agree, John?
Oh, definitely, yeah.
Definitely agree. So, first episode we thought we'd just start easy and something that both of us are into. We just do a bit of a chat about home brewing.
Yeah.
So, how long have you been home brewing, John?
On and off for a good while, I'd say about 15 years. I started off in college,
like so much of us.
like I think a lot of people do, with the intention of making cheap beer and succeeding in making cheap beer. But to be honest, the quality was pretty mediocre back then. But yes, we didn't mind.
Yeah, I think I began home brewing when I inherited equipment from the rest of your home brewing gang, all who one by one stopped.
Yeah. When we finished in college and got work and could afford it.
We could afford to buy, no more Dutch Gold knockoff for us.
Yeah. I think I got into it properly then though when I joined, Homebrew Club we call it, Bure it's called, the Craft Beer Society.
Yeah, well, I found that the regular having to have a beer ready every month for the tasting kind of made you get your arse in gear a bit and say, other people are going to have this.
And having a few people who knew what they were doing and ready to point out your mistakes,
Yeah.
Like standards jumped very quickly once the lads put me right on a few things.
So, like, what sort of brewing would you do? I presume you just start with kits like the rest of us.
Yeah, pretty much everyone does, yeah.
Yes, but moved on, extract, all grain, what do you do?
I do a bit of everything. I still make the odd kit.
Really?
My most recent brew was, it was a partial mash. It had half a kilo of Vienna malt and then the rest was extract. Yeah. But I mostly make all grain now.
That's interesting. Now, I've been doing extract for the last 5 or 6 years, and I've only recently started with all grain, as we're going to find out later in the show, I hope. But extract, I normally did just because of space constraints. Like, I'm in the biggest place I've ever lived in my life right now. Well, the biggest of my own places I've ever lived in my life right now. But for years I lived in a small 30 square metre apartment, and being able to brew at the cooker in the kitchen with a little stock pot was just, it was practical more than anything. But now, I've got room, I've got a balcony, and I've also been bringing my extract beers to the Bull and Castle every third Thursday of the month, and been kind of a little bit embarrassed when people who I remember bringing their first kits along are now bringing along professional quality all grain beers. So
I've tasted some very good kit beers as well.
Yeah, but they're always very good kit beers.
Well, very good beers then, which
originally
came from a kit.
But then again, like, if you get a very good kit beer, you congratulate the person on their brewing method, but not. It's not quite your beer, really.
That's true. Yeah, it's a bit like making bread from bread mix.
Yes.
Yeah.
So anyway, as I was saying, I just recently did my first all-grain batch, and if my editing skills are up to scratch, it's currently playing in the background for anyone who's watching this, so they're not looking at us. But I just thought I'd give a few thoughts on my brew day, because I got loads of advice from people to just get out there and do it. I mean, normally I'm a guy who just has to sit down and read and learn how to do it in the book before I attempt it for the first time.
But yeah, I'm a terrible man for that in all of my hobbies, though.
Yes.
I once caught myself reading a book about running. Yes. I think, no, just go out for a run.
But my observations on my first ever all grain, it took a lot longer to heat the water up to strike temperature than I expected. Yeah. I started heating in the kettle. I just filled water just above the elements and just waited for that to heat up. And it took quite a while, and then I was adding more and more in, and I just copped on and started boiling water in the normal cup of tea kettle inside and throwing it in.
And then one day discovered that you can have at most 2 kettles on any one circuit in your house. Yeah.
The rest of the day I found it went pretty okay. I mean, the mash went out grand. I'd watched enough YouTube videos to figure out what it looked like. I was recommended to heat up the water to 75 degrees and then add the grain in, and then just check the temperature and see if keep adding some grain and keep checking the temperature, and if it started going too low, add in more water. Yeah. So that's the way I followed with that. Managed to hit the strike temperature within it was pretty much spot on, actually. I think it was
I tend to not fuss over that too much once you get within a couple of degrees.
Within a couple of degrees, yeah. And next thing I found was that the draining it into the kettle, that took a bit longer than I expected. Like all the advice I was reading was to let it just fill over your kettle, plug the kettle in, and then just
turn it on.
Turn it on. So it's heating when it's going on. So I tried that, but my boil had started before I was finished draining. So
I think that's fine.
I think that's fine. Yeah. Once in the boil, I mean, I knew my way home from there. The boil went off just like a normal brew day. And in fact, it was a lot better than a normal brew day for me because I didn't have to do partial boil. It was first time ever actually brewing the whole
boil. Okay.
Full boil. My chiller. This is where the fun began. I'd say the brew day went off without a hitch. Generally, if I break less than 3 thermometers on a brew day, I'm happy enough with that. As long as I noticed I have broken said thermometers. Now, I broke the first one pretty much before the brew day started when I sat down in my deck chair and felt a crunch and stood up and found 2 broken liquid crystal thermometers where I just sat now.
But they didn't break into your brew.
It didn't break into my brew. That was the important point. So just into my jeans, that was fine. After everything was pretty done, the copper coil chiller going, took a temperature reading, and temperature said 25 degrees. I was like, oh, that's done. I can transfer it in. The water had been running for 10 minutes. I'd never experienced before if that was how long it takes or not. So, as I was transferring into what should have been my final fermenter, I was noticing, this is 25 degrees. Why is it steaming? And why
why is it so hot?
Why is it so hot? And then I stuck my thermometer into the bucket full of water that had just come through the chiller, which was nice and hot and ready for doing my cleanup afterwards. And it apparently was 25 degrees. Now there's a problem, and that's when I noticed a little, right up the very top of the thermometer, the little blob of green ink, dye, alcohol, whatever, to say that something's not quite right in this thermometer. It's not 25 degrees. So at this point I thought I'd just gone too far. I didn't want to put the chiller back in and do stuff again, so I made a no-chill batch.
Just lashed the lid on, it'd be fine.
Lashed the lid on and left it overnight, and the next morning I just shook my... So, are you curious as to how it turned out?
Oh yes. Have you samples?
Oh no, I should have brought samples, shouldn't I?
Oh.
And through the magic of editing we have beer. Cheers.
Cheers, bye.
So this is a dry Irish stout, and because it's my first all grain, I decided to take the easy option out, and I got myself a mash kit from the Homebrewed company, which was just one bag that had all of the grains pre-mixed for me, all of the hops set up into already measured out bags.
And you were giving out my kit brewers
and I was kitting out my kit brewers earlier.
It worked though, that's bang on style. That's exactly perfect.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. That's what you wanted out of the stout.
Yeah, just the right level of roastiness, yeah.
Roastiness, yeah. Not much on the nose, but I think it's
a tiny bit chocolatey on the nose, I thought.
Tiny bit chocolatey, yeah. Maybe. Problem with the mash kit is that while I have the ingredients, it was Maris Otter base malt and...
do you get the recipe as well?
You don't get the actual recipe.
Oh, okay.
They just give you what's in it, they don't give you the actual measurement. So it's Maris Otter base malt. It was roasted barley, baked barley as well. And the hops were Goldings.
Okay. It was a 60-minute edition, was it?
60-minute edition, yeah, nothing else. Just Royal Flock tablets of 10 minutes. And yeah, so it was quite straightforward. It was quite handy this. I didn't have to worry about the recipe.
That's good, yeah, because I was going to say it's very slightly sweeter than other well-known dry Irish stouts. Yeah.
It did finish quite high. It finished 10-14, which slightly high. Like normally you get more out of. It was USO 5 yeast, and I normally get more than that out of USO 5. But
okay, yeah, no, that'd be standard enough for me.
Yeah. But since that first all grain day, I have brewed again. So next time another stout, but this time it'll be an American stout.
Oh, okay. And when are we expecting this?
And so through the magic of editing, we have what looks like the same beer, but it's actually a completely different stout.
Yeah.
So this was the second all grain batch I ever did. This was the Olga's Oregon Stout mash kit from the Homebrewed company, and still Maris Otter base malt and roasted barley there, but it also had some crystal malt and some chocolate malt, slightly higher in alcohol. I think it came in at 6%. So,
okay.
And unlike the other one, this had a few hop additions. Two hops I hadn't used before myself. They're Hercules and Columbus. So I'm just interested to see what you think of this one. So.
Yeah.
I will explain this the first time I'm trying it as well, other than the day I bottled it. So.
It's a very slight hop aroma.
Very slight, yeah. I like this one. This is better than the last one, though. This is good.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is
definitely.
It's kind of like the dark chocolate, like Cadbury's Bourneville or something off of this.
It has a kind of a hoppy bitterness at the start, which fades into a more of a roasty bitterness, and the two I think go very well together.
Yeah, yeah. It's definitely great. So.
And this is stronger as well, is it?
Yeah, this is 6%. The last one was 4%. So.
That's very nice.
So I think I can officially call myself a successful old grain brewer now.
Definitely, yeah. Well, you could earlier, but this one hits the spot, definitely.
Hits the spot.
Yeah.
So now I need a competition to enter it in. That's when you know you're really successful.
Because you get anonymous feedback.
You get anonymous feedback. I mean, it's all well and good handing it around to people in the Bull and Castle, and they say, "Oh, that's great! Yeah, I'd have a pint of this."
The problem is your friends are too polite.
Friends are too polite sometimes. So. I mean, you've entered a few into competitions, yeah. So which competitions have you been in? I presume the National Homebrew Club national one.
I have. And there's the Dublin Cup that's run by the Twisted Pepper, which is a music venue in town. Yeah. And then I remember South Dublin Brewers, and we have qualifying rounds for various national competitions as well.
Yeah, so I've entered a couple into the nationals, but haven't done much.
Yeah, I always brew around competitions now because I think the quality feedback is so good.
Yeah.
There was, I think, about 24 people did the stage 1 beer judge program recently. So there's a lot of them. Before you can sit stage 2, you have to get so many points by judging so many
Gordon
competitions.
Strong flew over himself.
That's right. Yeah.
For the proctoring of that exam.
So I think in about 2 months' time, there's a red ale competition down the court. That'll be my next.
Yes. So how have you been scoring?
Kind of medium. I think 25 is my lowest, but that was a beer I knew was a bit off. But I entered it just to find out what was wrong with it. And thanks, by the way, to Sam Black in Kinsale Brewery. He nailed it well. It was like having a guy standing over my shoulder.
Yes.
He could tell me exactly what I'd done wrong. And I think 39 is my best. That was a blend of 2 different stouts that I entered into Dublin Cup. Yeah. So that's a decent score. Yeah.
Decent score. Yeah. I've a wider spread. My first time ever to enter a competition, I got 2 scores, a 13 and a 39, so both ends of the scale there recently. Whereas last time around I got a 33, so kind of bisects.
We should say these are out of 50 now.
Out of 50, yes.
We do need to mention that.
So that's my beer. What have you brought for us, John?
I entered, like I mentioned, the South Dublin qualifying round of the national low alcohol beer competition.
Yes.
I'm sure that's not the full title of it. A 2.2% mild. It came joint first.
Breakfast beer.
Weekday evening beer, I call it.
Beer.
So it came joint first.
Congratulations.
Out of 4, so it's
out of 4. So third last, you're saying?
Third last. I also came second last.
Okay, let's finish up this and give that a try.
Sounds good.
And our final beer of the day, which looks pretty similar to the last 2 things. This one's a bit lighter, but we are drinking 3 different beers, and we're not trying to pull a fast one.
You can tell by how quickly the head has faded on this one.
Yes.
It's a lighter brew.
So this was your 2.2% mild?
That's right, yeah.
Smells good. Yeah, that's you can definitely taste it's light in alcohol, but this, I like the aftertaste there. It's kind of, can't think of the word, but it's whatever I'm thinking of. That's what it is.
Yeah, it's similar to the previous flavors, just a lot lighter.
Yeah, just a lot lighter now.
Yeah,
but it's not like you just added water into it. It does it's quite balanced. Like it does.
Yeah, it's got a decent body to it. But
yeah,
I mean, as good as a 2.2% beer I think can have.
Yeah, it's definitely one that you'd be drinking a lot quicker.
Yeah.
You can feel like it's lighter like that, but it's tasty.
Yeah, and it would genuinely quench your thirst, I think.
Yeah, this is on a warm day now. This cooled down. This would be a perfect beer. So what was it you scored with this?
34.
34, and it's the joint first.
Joint first, yeah.
Yes. So award-winning beer, yeah.
Yeah. So it'll be going through to the national finals. Where now no one in our club is a qualified beer judge, so the scores are all a bit iffy. But once it is going through to the finals where to get a proper judging, so we can report back then.
In the next episode, that will be
maybe 2 or 3 episodes.
2 or 3 episodes.
In the finals there for a month or two. Yeah.
Well, I think that's a good place to end our first attempt at this podcasting thing. So thank you very much for watching the Irish Craft Beer Podcast. My intention is to try and post at least one of these a month, so that's the target anyway. And maybe I might, if like this episode where I showed a clip of my brew day, I'll try and post the whole brew day video just as a kind of a bonus while you're waiting for the next episode. So we've got a few more interesting ones coming up. Next one we're doing the double IPA taste test, and with that we have professional beer writer Emmett Ryan going to be joining us for that. A few more. I've got my ICBS on the road where I just took my camera with me in a recent trip to Oslo to as I emptied my wallet to get a few timbals of beer full over there. And a few more coming up like that. Hopefully another brew day in a brewery video, and might even bring us to some beer festivals. So
sounds good.
Well, thanks very much for watching the first ever episode of ICBS. This is the first time either of us have done anything like this, so please forgive us our rookie nature. And hopefully you'll join us next time. Cheers.
Cheers, Brian.